Hey, hockey fans, T-Boz is 13-3 here with top shelf guest, Philadelphia Flyer legend, St. Paul, Minnesota native, Harding Knight, Golden Gopher, Philadelphia Flyer, Minnesota North Star, longtime Flyers team executive, and U.S. Hockey Hall of Famer Paul Holmgren. This episode is sponsored by Riverside Bike and Skate, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Hertel Law, Kelly Heating and Electric, Computer Recovery Associates, and Eau Claire Ford. Mogi.
Hey, we got to give a thank you to our buddy Steve Coates, who got Paul Holmgren with us to have a little interview. We're here at the Wells Fargo Center prior to the Flyer Wild game, so we can't thank you enough, Paul, for taking the time to sit down and talk with us.
Thank you. My pleasure. And just a little bit about Coates. He's one of my early left wingers in pro hockey. We played together for the Richmond Robins. After I first signed with the Flyers, he stuck up for me and got in a fight with a guy who was a lot smaller than me, actually smaller than Coatsy. And Coatsy ended up breaking his thumb on the guy's head. So he missed like the next 20 games or something with a broken thumb. But just a little tidbit
Sticking
about
up
Coatsy.
for his teammate.
Yeah,
there you
was,
go.
yeah.
All right, good man.
Well, we gave him a couple jabs earlier during a broadcast or interview with Keith Jones, too. So It's nice to hear something good.
Yeah, that was nice of him to stick up for me. But to miss him for the next little bit, it hurt. Obviously, he was a good player back then.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that insight on him.
Yeah.
St. Paul, East Sider. Tell us about growing up in St. Paul, Minnesota. How old were you when you strapped on the skates, and what was the neighborhood like?
Yeah, well, I don't remember how. I have pictures of I was 2 years old skating. So I lived on Beach Street, which is on the east side, right around the corner from Harding High School. Probably lower middle class neighborhood, right? All hardworking people. My dad worked for the Postal Service for 40 years. I was the youngest of four kids. In the wintertime, the garden we had in the summertime was a skating rink. So I have pictures of skating on that rink as a young kid. I don't recall that. And then Eastview Playground was the playground that I grew up on, learning to play baseball and football and hockey and all around the shenanigans that we did during the summertime or whatever. So I went that route there and just I had an older brother, Mark, who was 15 months older than me, that I idolized and followed him all around. He was a good athlete. The quarterback on the football team, catcher on the baseball team, was a good hockey player as well. And we ended up we were competitive with each other, but he was my hero.
Were there a few little inner brother fights or stuff growing up?
If he saw me getting beat up, he would stop and help the guys beat me up.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah. So it was that kind of a relationship.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Did he feel threatened by you? I mean, you turned
I remember, I just came back from my 50th reunion a couple of weeks ago in St. Paul at Harding High School, and I was we had a tour of the school, which I hadn't seen in 50 years. So I'm in there with our goalie and our catcher, Gary Flash, who I played with for a couple of years, in the locker room. And I said, this is where I finally said to my brother, that's enough. He was picking on a buddy of mine, Tom Redmond, and I went up to him and I pointed him in his chest and I said, that's enough. And he went, okay. And he walked away. So from that point on, we were probably, but he had it over me, I guess. But I think I grew bigger than him, and he maybe just didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know. But we, probably made our relationship better.
So tell me if this is true or not, but I'm also a Harding grad, 78, right?
Oh, okay.
And the rumor had it is that at one point after a practice, I don't know if it was football, baseball, or hockey, you guys took some cafeteria tables and blocked off the exit to the shower and filled the showers up and were swimming around in there.
We did do that.
You did do that.
Yeah,
All right, there you go, folks. It's true.
It's true. Created our own indoor pool. Yeah.
That is genius.
Yeah. I'd like to claim that was my idea, but I can't. I don't recall whose idea it was, but yeah. I don't even think we got in a lot of trouble for doing that. It was kind of like
only water.
Yeah.
Only lucky.
You were lucky enough to play in arguably the best high school hockey tournament state hockey tournament in the nation in Minnesota. What was that like, going to the state high school hockey tournament, playing in the old Met Center?
Yeah, actually, I was fortunate enough to play in it twice. My junior year, we got beat both games. My senior year, we actually won our first game and then lost the next two games. But, growing up, you get to see it on TV, you hear about it. It's kind of this far off goal. And so to achieve it and actually get there is incredible. I still remember the scores. I still remember who we played. It's a memory that I hope doesn't ever go away. So it was incredible to be there. I wish we would have done better as a team. I think we had a good team both years we were there, but we just, you're playing the best of the best from each of the regions. And it was as cool as you think it is. It's even cooler to play in it and be a part of it.
That's great.
So after high school, you ended up playing with the Vulcans, St. Paul Vulcans junior A team for a year before you went to the U of M. So what caused you to go to play with the Vulcans for a year?
You know what? I'd actually signed a letter of intent to go to Ohio State and play.
Okay.
They were kind of a burgeoning hockey program. Harry Neal and Glenn Sonmore, who were with the Fighting Saints at that time, and both had ties to Ohio State, kind of got me on that path. I went there, and I to this day, I don't know why I didn't go. I do remember that my dad didn't talk to me for about 4 months because I passed on basically what in his mind a free education. So now what am I going to do? He wanted me to go to college. So anyway, Doug Woog was the coach of the Vulcans at the time, and he convinced me and a number of other guys that I knew. And the Vulcans were a good program. It was a good league. So I went there, and I got an opportunity to play. Instead of playing 20 games like you play in high school, we played like 60 or 70 games.
Sure.
So you're playing all the time. The thing they're going to pay us like $50 a week or something to play. I think we got paid once, but you know what? I got to play on a U.S. team that went to Russia that year. My dad started talking to me after that, and then all of a sudden the doors opened where I had other like Division I schools kind of knocking on my door to go, and including the Gophers, which. Sure. Which I obviously I went with the Gophers because of they'd won the championship the year before. Herbie was an East Sider. We kind of spoke the same language, I guess.
Johnson, though, he's a rival.
Yeah, well, Johnson I know, but East Siders are East Siders.
Right.
So it kind of just went from there. But playing for the Vulcans was great for me because I was a bigger guy. I was kind of clumsy. I think I kind of gathered myself as a player playing there. I got to play on one of the top lines with some good scoring players like Mike Hadrick from Monroe was my left wing. Mark Lambert was my center. We had a really good line. Really good line.
You must have developed some great skills because obviously you move on to D1 hockey. Obviously you got size. What talents was the university looking at that they wanted in you when you came? I don't know. Like Herbie used to bug me all the time. He said, your senior year in the St. Paul City Conference, you scored 9 goals, which is not a lot, right? I mean, but I did have, I think I did have other qualities. I could skate pretty good, and I love to hit guys. Like, you could, in high school, when I played high school, you could only hit in the defensive zone. Oh.
So in college, they kind of opened it up a little bit where you can forecheck and actually hit players. And I think that was one of my unique gifts as a player that I had. I had a good ability to hit, finish my body checks and make good contact and kind of create havoc. But again, I was fortunate enough to be on a good line. Tom Younghans, who was had transferred from like St. Mary's to the Go, so he couldn't play till January. So I kind of had a spot with Pat Phippen and Tommy Vanelli on a line, which was a good, like, how'd you like to play with those guys? They're both great players, right? Yes. And Tommy was good with the puck and gritty and hard-nosed, and Pat was, a good scorer. I got to play with those guys until January. And then they moved me down again with Mark Lambert and Robbie Harris. So I got to play with those two guys as well when Younghans played. But I was kind of mad at Herbie that he dropped me down that line. I wanted to stay on that one line, and so I used to run at Younghans all the time in practice and try to get him. And Herbie called me over one day. He said, just relax. Just relax. Stop that. So, I guess I kind of took it easy after that.
So we interviewed Tom Younghands this summer, and he told that exact story from
Really?
his perspective.
Really?
And he also told us that he was petrified of you because he took
I got him
your
when he
spot.
played for the North Stars one game real good.
There you go.
Like I saw him in front of the net, and the puck was in his feet, and I didn't even look at the puck.
So you were still holding it against him
Yeah,
all those years
apparently.
later.
apparently.
Oh, I hope he listens to
I
this.
hope he does too. We'll have to let him know.
Oh, that's a great story. All right, so the university, you play 1 year there. Obviously, you did well. When did the scouts for the pros start looking at you? What age were
Well,
you at that time?
I think I was drafted. I don't know that. I mean, I was drafted by the in the WHA the year before, and then that after my year at the university, the NHL draft. But I didn't know I got drafted by the Flyers. The Fighting Saints had offered me a contract. I didn't know what to do. I went to see Herb, and his words were, "Don't let the door hit you in the ass on the way out," but not in a negative way.
No.
It was
okay.
like, I don't know, it was $20,000 to sign, which was a lot of money in 1975 or whatever year that was. My dad said, "Holy shit. Like, can I swear on this?" I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah, go
You
ahead.
already did.
You can't, you got to take that. So
Yeah.
I left. And with Herb's blessing, it just kind of went from there. So I don't know. The Flyers had drafted me. I think I got a call 2 weeks after I'd signed. Somebody from the Flyers called me and said, "Yeah, we drafted you in like the 6th round." But I had no knowledge at the time.
Wow.
And it didn't matter anyway because I'd already signed with the rival league. So
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
what it is at that point.
yeah.
So the Gophers win it in 74,
And in 76.
and they win it in 76.
Yeah.
Bad timing for you.
That time we lost in the championship game to Michigan Tech. But it was that was again a wonderful experience. I got to play with a lot of really good players. Play for Herb was great. Some of his practices are legendary. I'm sure you've heard about them.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of,
How hard they were. And
lot of city guys on those teams,
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You didn't cross paths with Coatsy when he was playing for Tech, did you?
he's a little bit ahead of me.
Okay. All right.
So I don't think I played against Michigan Tech. Well, we lost in the championship game to Tech. We played them 4 times that year. I'm pretty sure we beat them 3 out of 4 and then lose in the championship game. So we played Harvard in the first game, and they were ahead of us late, and then we had a kind of mounted to come back and beat them like 6-4, and then played Michigan Tech in the final and got beat. I think it was like 6-1.
Oh, that one hurt.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
God.
right.
Okay. You did a stop. We got to ask you this. You did a stop with the Johnstown Jets. The storybook of the Charlestown Chiefs.
Yeah.
Was it as chaotic as the movie portrays?
Pretty close. Okay, pretty close. Yeah, a lot of those guys that were in that movie, like I roomed with Dave Hansen was my roommate. Bruce Boudreau was my roommate. Obviously, Dave was a big star in the movie. Bruce was, went on to a great coaching career and a little bit of a playing good minor league career. Some dabbled a little bit in the NHL. I still talk to Dave once in a while. Well, we were living in the same house in Johnstown, the 3 of us. I think I played 6 games. So I got sent down early from the Fighting Saints.
Okay.
That was their minor league team, or one of them. So I went to the training camp it was in Niagara Falls, Ontario. So that was like 7 or 8 days there, and then we drove from there to Johnstown, and I'm pretty sure I played 6 games there, and I was only 19. They played me at center, so my left wing was 34 years old. His name was John Gofton, and my right wing was Galen Head. He was 28 years old.
Holy shit.
So they looked after the young guy, and I ended up having a good 6 games. I think I had 15 points or something in 6 games.
Oh, you lit it up.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then I remember I was messing around on the ice. I was doing this drill with pucks that Herb taught me about handling the puck and stick handling through traffic. just kind of trying to work on parts of my game, and I see the guy, John Mitchell, who is the owner of the team, walking down the steps, and I'm saying to myself, please come and tell me I'm getting called up. And that's what he did. He called me over the boards. He said, son, I don't agree with this, but they're calling you up.
He didn't agree with it.
Yeah, well, he says, I think you'd benefit by staying here longer, which, at that time I was 19 and
Sure.
15 points in 6 games.
But I got a chance to play a lot too, right? So,
True, yeah,
it's the same thing. Everybody deals with that. You got a young guy, what's best? Is he going to better for his development to play 10 minutes in the NHL or, 20 minutes in the AHL? It's the same old thing you juggle, all teams juggle with it. We just sent the young defenseman down today, I think, who was playing 12 minutes, so he's going to go down to the Phantoms and probably play 25 minutes, I would think. I mean, he's a good player, and that's just part of the development and part of the process. So I went up to the Fighting Saints and stayed there for the rest of the year, until the team folded that year. But
Did you guys have to pay for or play for no pay at one point?
We took a vote. And again, I had turned 20 by this time, but I didn't know what to do. We're having a vote, closed door meeting, players only, and we're voting to play for pay without pay for 1 month. To give the owner a chance to organize his finance. I don't know, whatever you want to say. And so Davey Keon voted yes. Teddy Hampson voted yes. Johnny, big name guys.
Yeah.
Great players. Johnny McKenzie, Teddy Hampson, Rick Smith, even the younger guys, Patty Westrom, Billy Butters, Jack Carlson voted yes. Everybody's voting yes. So what was I going to do? But if the team folded, I had no idea what I was going to do. I thought I'd go back to the university and play baseball. And I couldn't play hockey anymore, but I'd go back and play baseball or something. And I had no clue what my future held. And we ended up, I think the team folded a month later, and I became a free agent in the WHA because it was written into my contract like that. And the Flyers had my rights. So a guy by the name of George Lyon, who I met at the university, he was like an alumni booster kind of guy, good guy, financial guy. He said, you know what? One of the teams in this league just folded. The Flyers just won 2 Stanley Cups in a row. Yes. Maybe you should, and they were trying to sign me then too. So, so that's what we did. We flew to Philadelphia, and I met with the GM, and we signed a contract. And he said, "We'll see you next year at training camp." And I said, "Isn't there a place I can go play?" It was like March, early March. He said, "Well, yeah, we could send you to Richmond, our farm team." So that's how I met Coatsy the first time.
Okay.
And a lot of guys. They had a good team too, and I played 8 or 9 games down there, and then I got called up to the Flyers for a game, and I had an eye injury, and that messed up the rest of my year, but that's how that whole year went. So that 1 year, my first year in pro was Johnstown, Fighting Saints, Richmond, Flyers.
That must have been a busy year for you.
It was a busy year. I was in a lot of places. But
young guy,
got to meet a lot of good people, play with a lot of great players. As a rookie, it was pretty cool.
Was it fun for you playing for your hometown Saints down at the Civic Center?
You know what? I don't. I lived at home. I think it's one of those things.
A couple miles from downtown.
Probably do it over, but I think I paid rent to my mom and dad probably for the first time, and I bought them a new dining room table and sent them to Hawaii and did some things for them. But I didn't get to enjoy it. And then when I got after I got traded from the Flyers back to the North Stars, I was pretty beat up. I didn't really get a chance to really enjoy much of that either. So, I have mixed emotions about playing. I don't think I got my. I wish it could have worked out differently, especially for the North Stars. I was just a young pup for the Fighting Saints, and that team, that league obviously wasn't going to last much longer.
Okay. All right, we're going to give a quick shout out to a few of our sponsors. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine has been committed to the healthcare needs of patients in western Wisconsin since 1954. The orthopedic surgeons and athletic trainers serve many area schools. In Riverside Bike and Skate, Eau Claire's Hockey Headquarters, which is the oldest hockey store in the state of Wisconsin. Buy hockey gear from the people that play and know the game. And don't forget about their bicycle sales and service, as well as your paddle sports center for kayaks and canoes. And Hertel Law, the law firm you want on your side, focusing on criminal defense, personal injury. Harry Hertel has been obtaining results for clients in the Chippewa Valley since 1981. Mogi.
So, Paul, you became a full-time NHL player with the Flyers in 1976 and played with them for 8 years. So what was it like playing for the Broad Street Bullies?
Well, I mentioned earlier that they had won two Stanley Cups in a row there, and then the year I got called up, they lost in the finals to Montreal that year. So I couldn't have played in the playoffs because of the eye injury I had. But if I was healthy, I would have played because they were pretty beat up. I mean, they lost. Bernie didn't play in the playoffs because he hurt his neck. Ricky McLeish missed a lot of the playoffs. He tore up his knee. Bob Kelly was hurt. Dornhofer was hurt. A lot of guys were hurt, so I would have been able to play in that. They lost every game in the finals to Montreal by 1 goal.
Oh,
so with a banged up team and not their best goalie. So, but to come in at that time, and then the next year at training camp, I made the team. So, I got to play with a lot of those, like Reggie. Reggie was there then. Clarkey, obviously. Billy Barber. Moose DuPont. Gary Dornhofer, I played with him for 2 years. Got to play with Bernie for a little bit. He came back and played after his neck surgery. The Watsons. So a lot of great. It was good timing for me just to get on a team that was good and knew how to win and had won.
Yep.
I learned a lot about how to work and how to practice hard, and like I learned it in college, I think, with Herbie, because if you didn't practice hard there, you get the shit skated out of you.
I bet.
But I learned it at a pro level too, and with those guys that I broke in with, it was awesome.
Nice.
Well, you played 609 NHL games, counting the playoffs, 374 points. And you also served 1,879 penalty minutes. Kind of fit right into the Broad Street Bully theme, and you were known for your finesse and your your knuckles, I should say. Wow, your knuckles. As you look back, I mean, I got to ask, was there anybody you hated facing at that time?
Well, I can't even remember I think the first time I ever got in a fight. Well, I had a couple fights playing for the Vulcans, but when I was in Johnstown, I had to get in a couple fights just because of the league and the way that team was set up. But I don't think any. I've come to know a couple guys that like fighting, but even Dave Schultz, if you ask him, he didn't like it. I didn't like that part of the game. I like to play a physical game. I like to hit guys. So I basically had to learn how to stand up for myself, stand up for my teammates. I can't say I like doing it. I get a headache thinking about it, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Part of the game, and I know, it was part of my, I guess, what got me here and probably what kept me here. So I was willing to do it. I mean, it was. Playing in the National Hockey League is one of the greatest honors of my life, and I was going to do everything I could to stay there for as long as I could.
So knowing that you had that role of kind of a tough guy on the team, do you think there's still a place for fighting in the NHL today?
I do. I think the league is, not just the league. I think the league over time has tried to lessen it. I don't know that they've tried to eliminate it. I can't say that, but obviously, you look at some junior leagues now; they're getting out of the game.
Right.
College. There's really no fighting in college, and they're fairly successful. Well, eventually, that's what it's going to be. Mogi, I think, where there's no fights.
Yeah.
But I still think there's a place in the game. I really do. I think if two people are willing to do that, to change the momentum of a game. I mean, your team struggled a little bit, and I'm going to try to ignite our team. There's still players that can do that. There's, in my opinion, there's still a place for it. I don't know for how much longer, but today there still is.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, we've talked about your grit and your stamina, your size, but you also had skill. You scored a hat trick in Game 2 of the 1980 Stanley Cup Finals, the first ever U.S.-born player to attain such a feat. As you look back, what was that like? What was that feeling? I mean, you're on the ice, you scored your hat trick. Did you even know at that time you were the first to do that?
No, I can't. I think somebody said that after the. I mean, I have mixed emotions about that. I mean, that was awesome to score a hat trick in the playoffs, particularly in the Stanley Cup Finals. But that was Game 2. We lost Game 1, and that's why we, in my opinion, that's why we lost the series. We were at home in the Spectrum. The Islanders beat us in overtime on a power play goal, and we never really recovered. We won the second game, went to the Island and lost Games 3 and 4. We won Game 5 and then lost in overtime in Game 6. And the Islanders were kind of an up-and-coming team at that time. I think we won first overall in the league that year in 1980. But they were kind of creeping up as a team, and they had all those good young players that were kind of, peaking at the right time. Trottier and Bossy and Gillies and Nystrom and Dennis Potvin and Billy Smith and that. And, maybe the Flyers' older core guys were, Clarkey maybe kind of not on the downward, but not rising up anymore. And the Islanders became a machine. They won 4 straight Stanley Cups, 3 after that. And I think if we win the first game in that series, maybe it's a different story. I don't know.
Well, not many players get to say they even played in the Stanley Cup final. So, despite the loss, congratulations to you and your team for making it that far. That's for sure.
Thanks.
So, Paul, after your playing career, you were an assistant coach for the Flyers for 3 years under Mike Keenan. So Mike Keenan, quite a fiery individual as a coach. Do you have any good Mike Keenan stories you can share with us today?
Well, Mike, he's sort of a lightning rod kind of guy, but he brought the best out of players. I mean, some guys couldn't handle it, and probably they were weeded out along the way. Let's just put it that way. But some guys I know, like Brad, I'll make a couple examples. Brad McCrimmon. I played with Brad. He didn't like that. He didn't train hard. He didn't practice hard. Consequently, he didn't play to his potential. Mike Keenan takes over the Flyers, and Brad passed away a few years ago. I don't know if you know this. He was coaching a team in Russia.
That's right. Oh, in the plane crash. Yeah.
Tragic plane crash. Yeah. But he became a great player under Mike. All of a sudden, fitness was a big thing. He could run forever. He trained. He took care of himself. I think he was plus 80 one year. Him and Mark Howe. And it was just unbelievable how the Mike Keenan effect on Brad. And then there were some guys that couldn't handle him. But Mike, I got to work with him closely. I would have liked playing for him. I can say that honestly. I saw the human side of him that maybe some of the players that played for him didn't see, which is unfortunate. But he was a tremendous coach, and I got nothing but positive, good things to say.
Wow, that'll wake us up.
I'm a big Mike Keenan booster, and I think the majority of the players that played for him would say the same thing.
Nice.
There's an old story about you were on the bench coaching, and some play resulted in a goal against your team, and you're just chewing a player's ass, and you look down, and that player is on the bench rather than having been on the ice. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, that is true. It was Danny Quinn. Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I didn't know. I mean, he was in front of me at the time, and they had just scored. So it was after there's a line change. So I'm right behind him, and I was chewing him out. And finally he looked back and said, "Yeah, Coach, I wasn't even on the ice." Well, get going then. So it's sometimes being, obviously it was not very good on my part to not have the awareness that he wasn't out there, but sometimes behind the bench is not a great seat.
There's a lot going on.
A lot going on, and you don't see things like, more often than not, I would have to watch the tape of the game after the game just to kind of get, like you kind of have a feel for what's going on, but you don't, there's a lot of things you don't see.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why everybody uses video so much.
Did you see coaching in your future as your career was winding down?
Like in the middle of my career when Pat Quinn came to the Flyers as a head coach, there was something about Pat and the way, like he was a big man with a huge presence when he walked in the room. And I really liked Pat. I would do anything for Pat as a player. And some of my better years in the league were with Pat. Like I don't know if he liked me or wanted to play me more, but he put me with a couple of good players and let me go. And he put me on the All-Star team one year, which was kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think that started me thinking about getting into coaching. I remember taking a coaching class at Widener University, which is a small school not far from Philly here. I got to meet some coaches in the area, some local, Speedy Morris, who's a very famous local basketball coach here, both high school and college. Got to do some stuff with him and became good friends with him. Pat kind of pushed me towards wanting to get into coaching. The fact that Clarkie was a GM here probably helped me get my foot in the door with Mike. He got me an interview with Mike, and it kind of went from there.
Okay. Hey, we're going to give a shout out to some sponsors. Computer Recovery Associates specializes in removing, monetizing, and recycling computer hardware from large data centers. Whether you're looking to relocate, repurpose, sell, or recycle, Computer Recovery Associates can help. Check them out at computerrecoveryassociates.com. And dedicated to serving their customers' heating and electrical needs efficiently, Kelly Heating and Electric. They've been named one of Bryant's Medal of Excellence winners. They provide expert advice from a friendly staff that can provide you with the knowledge you need to make the best decisions on your next electrical, heating, or air conditioning project. And Eau Claire Ford Lincoln Quick Lane. With a large selection of new and used vehicles available, they buy nice used vehicles any day of the week except Sundays. Eau Claire Ford is here for all your parts and service needs for your vehicle. Ask us about our pickup and delivery options as well as Saturday service appointments. Visit us today in-store or online at www.eauclairford.com. Eau Claire Ford Lincoln Quick Lane, proud sponsor of the Breakout Sessions podcast.
Let's look back at your playing career real quick. You're on a line, and you can pick any two teammates on that line with you. Who would you want on that line?
Well, I actually got to play with them from time to time. Clarkie and Billy Barber. I mean, Clarkie was a great, obviously, his competitive spirit is what made him the player he was. But he could hold on to the puck and make plays from anywhere. He was, and such a wonderful, great leader. And then Billy Barber just, if you got him the puck, like you knew where he was going to be all the time. He was going to be in the slot, and he could shoot and like a hard, heavy shot, and always, in the corners, like a goal scorer. So those two guys, and I did get to play with them. Like a lot of times, my first year, when we were on the road, Freddie Sherrill would start me playing with those guys. I guess as protection or whatever. I don't know.
Hey, it worked.
I used to think, what the hell is he putting me with these guys for? But this guy,
keep going out there as long as your number gets called.
Well, okay, I got another quick question for you then. You're on the ice. Who was your toughest competitor that you faced? One-on-one. Now, I'm not talking like the knuckle battles. I'm talking like the fiercest competitor in the corner or the guy that was just a grinder.
There's a lot of guys. I mean, I did quite a few battles with Terry O'Reilly. Like he was a hard-nosed, up and down player, great Bruin. had to fight him a few times. Very competitive. And then, you go to another guy that was very competitive and hard to play against for different reasons, Larry Robinson.
Oh, sure.
Like, he was 6'5". He had a stick that was not like it seemed like it was 9 feet long. He had these long, like, you couldn't get around them. So there's different ways of playing in the NHL and competing. And those are a couple examples of guys that, I don't want to say gave me fits, but I enjoyed competing against them and playing against them. Trying to outdo him, or O'Reilly, you try to outdo him, you win the puck in the corner from him. Same thing with Robinson. I never fought Larry. He wasn't much of a fighter. I remember one time something happened, and Ben Wilson's trying to get at him, and he's going like this, like he's trying to get back at Ben. And I said, Larry, I don't think you want to do that. He said, why do you think I'm standing here? So Ben Wilson was pretty tough, and the word got out pretty fast. So he said, I thought that was funny. I started laughing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, Paul, in 2014, you became the president of the Flyers, and you also received the prestigious Lester Patrick Award, which is awarded to the person who has significantly contributed to hockey in the U.S. So what did winning that award mean to you? Well,
it really threw me. Like, Gary Bettman actually told me about that at a league meeting in the summer, and I didn't know what to say. I was shocked. I was, humbled, and I still am thinking about it. Like, I'm very humbled by that. I think that's a very prestigious award. I look at the list of people that have won it, and I'm on that list. And that's pretty cool.
That is cool,
and very humbling. I'm an American. I was an early American in this league. I took some abuse. Playing. I was happy when the Europeans started to make a way over. They got off that. They got away from that chicken shit American. All of a sudden, get the Swedes involved.
There you go. We never think of that. When I'm watching the games back in the 70s and 80s, I'm not thinking about U.S.-born or Canadian-born, but obviously there was still a little bit of rivalry.
Big time rivalry. And there's still some Canadian guys, like when I came in, like Americans, look down on you a little bit. And like a lot of guys look down on the European players, but it is what it is now. I mean, there's good hockey players coming from everywhere, right?
Yep.
Like everywhere.
All around the world. Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, I have, you were talking about the Lester Patrick Award. I had the opportunity to play for a U.S. team early when I was like 17, when I played for the Vulcans. I was on a team, and then I never got to play for a world championship team. I missed an opportunity in like 2000. No, sorry. I want to say 81. We got beat in the playoffs in the second round, and I had a bad knee, so I didn't go. And I regret that I wasn't able to go play and represent the U.S. But I've had opportunities as a coach and as a manager to be part of things, and I love my time with USA Hockey. Anything to do for them is great.
What's your role with the Flyers now?
Well, they gave me this thing. I'm like a senior advisor. So, I'm I don't know. Somebody invented that role, and I do get called in once in a while to talk about certain things. But for me, what it is, it's like the golden ticket. Like, if I want to go watch a practice, I do. If I want to come to a game, like tonight, I wanted to come to the game. Not just to see you two guys, but to watch
it wasn't just to see us, huh?
I want to watch the game too. Okay. But so it's nice. I got some grandkids in the area, and sometimes I bring my grandsons over to watch practice, and they get to hang out with. So some of the little perks that I can kind of take advantage of. So it's kind of cool that way. And I'm happy with the changes that were made this summer. Keith Jones, I think, there's not anybody in this area that can say a bad thing about Keith Jones. And what you hear about him and see on TV, that's how he is in real life. He's tremendous. He's going to be a tremendous, I don't want to say role model for the Flyers, but the face of the Flyers is Keith Jones now, and he's going to be great. And I'm a big fan of Danny Briere as a GM. I signed Danny as a free agent back in 2007, and he's been nothing but great for the team and the organization since he's been here. Excited about it. I'm excited about the future.
Oh, it's up and coming future. You got a lot of young guys. You got John Tortorella as the coach, and he's working with those guys and bringing them along, giving them an opportunity to play. And we think it's going to be a great thing for the Flyers here. So I just have one more question for you, and I got to tell you, I'm so happy to ask this question. You get inducted to the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame in 2021. Did you see that coming ever?
Not a chance. It's another thing. You talk about the lesser. This is even to the nth degree, right? Like, I was blown away by that call. I started crying when I got the call from. Oh man.
That's all right. I get that sometimes too. CRS
Who's the president of USA Hockey right now? You guys know. I can't think of his name off the top.
You got us too.
You got me stumped on that.
I hope you can maybe edit this out. Because it looks bad, but I don't remember his name.
No, don't worry. It looks bad for us too.
Okay.
Because we should know.
But anyway, he called me. I was in my daughter's driveway in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. I was with my wife. We were there for a family reunion. And Pat, his name's Pat. You know the name? Pat, last name Pat?
As soon as we're done with this, we're all going to remember this.
Whatever. I started crying in the driveway, so I had to gather myself and go in and just, like I told my wife, I think later on that trip, but I was supposed to keep it under my hat and not tell anyone. And obviously I was proud and thankfully I got to tell my wife, but it was, and then to go there for the event, and Peter McNabb, who was, it was right before he passed.
Yeah.
In fact, he couldn't even be at the event. Stan Fischler, like some of the guys that went in with me. So it was,
Well, Stan Fischler's an icon in himself too.
Yeah.
Sports writer.
It was a wonderful thing.
Well, congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, as a hockey fan, I am completely ecstatic that you got to that point. It was a blast watching you. And all I can say is thank you very much for taking the time to talk
my
to
pleasure.
us today.
It was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. And to our listeners, please leave us a thumbs up, thumbs down, or something on social media. It helps us keep us in the game, Mogi.
Okay. And again, a huge thank you to our special guest, Paul Holmgren. And thank you to our audience and our sponsors, Riverside Bike and Skate, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Hertel Law, Kelly Heating and Electric, Computer Recovery Associates, and Eau Claire Ford. And follow us on our social media platforms and as well as YouTube. And remember, folks, until next time, keep your head on a swivel and stay on your inside edges.